everybody! Welcome! My name is Laura. It's the Science of Wolves show. We're going to learn all about wolves. First of all, an apology because, well, first of all, I didn't have a toy wolf. So this is an African wild dog, that's a fox, and that's a muppet. But the wolves are all in the same family as dogs and foxes. The other apology, we have never ever done one of these shows before where we haven't had an activity to do. I couldn't think of anything. Like, wolves are related to dogs, and dogs poo along magnetic field lines, but we've already done the magnetic activity, like making a magnet, just a couple of weeks ago in the darkness activity show. And I was going to maybe make a wolf poo, but I thought a lot of you aren't going to have deer hair at home. Apparently, the more deer hair there is in a wolf poo, the hungrier they are, because if they're eating lots of hair, it means there wasn't a lot of meat to go around. So if you've got some deer hair and some meat, you can craft your own wolf poo at home later today. But apart from that, I have got you a little puzzle actually. As like I say, we're going to dispel some myths. And the first myth we need to look at is the myth of the alpha wolf. Have you heard of this? This idea that there's an alpha of the pack who like leads the way. So I'm going to show you a very, very popular meme. I only know about it because it got shared by one of my friends and I was like, oh, I looked it up. So this meme is all over Facebook. Meme is just like a, usually like a picture with a bit of writing, yeah, that everyone loves and shares. So have a listen to this. Here's a photo, a famous photo. We can all learn an invaluable leadership lesson from this pack of wolves, so the meme says. The 3 wolves in front are old and sick. They walk in front to set the pace. The next 5 are the strongest wolves. They protect the front side from an attack. The middle group is fully protected, and the 5 behind are also among the strongest, so they're protecting the backside. The last wolf is the leader. He, notice the word he, ensures no one is left behind. So the leader of this wolf pack is a male that keeps the pack tight and on the same path. He's ready to run in any direction. Being a leader is not about being in front, it's about taking care of your team. That is absolute nonsense. Which it kind of makes sense. Imagine that you're living in a house and it snows overnight and you open the front door and there's 3 feet of snow in front of you. You are very fit and healthy and the person you are with is not able to walk very well. Who's going to go out into the snow first? Obviously you. You don't send the weakest, oldest person out into the 3-foot snow because it's easier to walk in snow that's been cleared. So these wolves at the front, they're fit, young, strong wolves. They're forging a path through the snow so that any weaker wolves have got a path, right? So they're walking single file. So this is actually a photo. It's a still from Frozen Planet, amazing documentary, made in 2011, where they say that this is a really big pack of timber wolves living in Canada. They grow to be the biggest, most powerful wolves because they do lots of hunting in the national park where they live. But even Frozen Planet makes what most wolf experts would today call a mistake, okay? Because they used the word alpha. So a little puzzle for you, right? This is absolutely true. A scientist called Rudolf Schenkler in the 30s and 40s observed wolves for about 8 years. 8 years. He watched wolves. He's a scientist, he's an intelligent person. He watched the wolves and he saw them fighting for supremacy, like fighting to see which one would be the leader. And then the fight decided it, and one of them was like the leader, the alpha, and the others had to sort of go and have babies like at a distance. So he decided that this was how wolves worked, how wolf packs worked. There was one alpha leader. That is incorrect. That is not right. How is it that that's what he saw, but it's not right? How can it be that an intelligent scientist can see wolves fighting to dominate a pack and come to the conclusion that that's how wolves behave, and it's not how wolves behave? How? Like, what? This is the show, so I don't, for home edits, I'm always asking them questions and they're just staring at them like, think. But I'm going to do that to you today because we haven't got an activity. I can hear that some of you are screaming the answer. Well done if you said he was watching wolves in captivity. He was at a zoo. The wolves, bless them, he went to a couple of zoos. The first zoo, the wolf pack was in a space 10 metres by 20 metres. 10 metres by 20 metres. Most wolf packs have territories that are maybe like hundreds of square miles. So he wasn't watching them in their natural habitat. How a wolf pack, I'm just going to change scene for no reason. how a wolf pack works in the wild is that the alphas are just the mum and dad. You've got a breeding pair who have babies, and then the next year they have more babies, and then the older babies look after or sort of help to babysit the younger babies. Now, some of the little wolflings end up going off and forming their own wolf packs, and some of them stay behind. So you've got like 4 or 10 or even 20 wolves that are all related to each other. So the like how in your house, the adults are probably in charge, right? Because they can reach stuff more easily. They're more experienced. It is no more correct to say the alpha wolf than it is to say the alpha human. They're just the parents. So you could call them the breeding pair, or the mother or the father, or the female, or the breeding female, breeding male. It is mainly in the wild only the parent, the male and the female breeding pair that breed. Very occasionally others will have babies too, but generally they'll look after each other. The communication is quite interesting. So they do sort of like bow down to or kind of show subservience to the leaders, the breeding pair. Like the other wolves might like tuck their tails in or lick the little muzzle of the wolf. Obviously wolves do sometimes fight if a wolf pack comes across another wolf pack and they're fighting for territory or whatever. But generally within the wolf pack, if like I say another male wolf is fighting the breeding wolf, then very quickly the younger wolf will like lie down apparently and expose their tummy, like all their vulnerable bits, like, I'm no threat, look, you could even kill me if you wanted to. And sometimes that ends the fight, and sometimes the breeding parent does just kill the other wolf. I don't know, it's wolf's world, isn't it? Grim. So that's one myth. The other myth that we should look at is this idea that they live in the wilderness. I didn't know this. Wolves used to live everywhere. Wolves lived more places on the planet than I think like any other mammal. And then eventually we'll talk about in story time the relationship between wolves and humans. Eventually humans just kind of hunted them and killed them to the point where they now live in about a third of the area that they used to live in. But yeah, the wilderness thing is a myth. I think what it's like is, you know how loads of foxes live in cities because they just have learned to exist really well with humans because they eat all the humans' rubbish. I think wolves would do the same thing, but we don't let them because the things they would eat would be our children and our pets. I think that's it. Wolves aren't choosing necessarily to just like be on the open plains of the wilderness. So thinking about where they live, I'm just going to show you some pictures of different types of wolves. So wolves are related to dogs, right? Again, just feels like time to change scene. And I'm going to flash you my little toy dogs because they're cute. So long ago, in ye oldeny times, humans would sit around a campfire, say, and lurking in the darkness in the distance were these like wolf creatures who were very scared of humans and also very aggressive to humans. Now, a few of these creatures crept towards the campfire and sort of learned that if they did big puppy eyes and they were friendly to humans and they got tossed food, and a beautiful relationship evolved between those creatures, and they became dogs, right? So dogs have literally learned to go, be nice to me. We've like created dogs by being kind to them. And the ones that stayed lurking in the background, like, guys, what are you doing? They're wolves. So dogs and wolves, very closely related. There's two kinds of wolf. Like maybe another one, we're not going to talk about it because scientists aren't sure. There's two kinds of wolf, the grey wolf and the red wolf. There's only one kind of red wolf that only lives in one place. I'll show you. So all the other kind of wolves you mentioned are just a type of grey wolf. Like the Mexican wolf is a grey wolf, lives in Mexico, right? The timber wolf, lives in the forest, but it's a grey wolf. Okay, I'll show you the map. Here we go. So, thank you Wikipedia. All the green bits on this map are where wolves are present. So let's look at a couple of these little wolves. There's a bit time on this show, so I don't need my notes. I'm going to make sure I don't miss anything else. Here we go. So the first one I wanted to talk about is the Arctic wolf. Look at it, what a beauty. It's quite unusual, the Arctic wolf, because it lives in a place where there are no trees. It lives sort of in the Arctic Circle where trees just can't survive. But the Arctic wolf can survive. So it eats things like lemons, it eats Arctic hares, it eats Arctic foxes, sorry fox fans, and birds and beetles. Sometimes they hunt in packs, bigger things like caribou. We don't know, and flip you again, we don't know very much about their movements because it's so dark above the Arctic Circle, like most of the time. So they move around at night, we don't know, we can't see them, but there you go. Just want to show you the cute photo, really. So that's the Arctic wolf, again, a kind of grey wolf. The next one, we've got the Indian wolf. I'm pretty sure this is a picture of an Indian wolf. So notice it's not as fluffy, right? It lives in India, so it doesn't need to stay warm. It travels in smaller packs, it's less vocal, less howling than the other kinds of grey wolf, and it's one of the most endangered wolves in the world. A little bit further up in the Himalayas is the Himalayan wolf. I've hardly got anything to say about this one. It's just, look how great it is. So it's just evolved to be different, yeah? It's got a very furry coat, so it lives in the Himalayas, where it's extremely chilly. The African wolf. Now, this is interesting. Sometimes you don't see even this Wikipedia map. It doesn't have any African wolves in existence. That's because if I'd showed you this picture 10 years ago, I'd have been telling you that this was a golden jackal. But we got a new wolf. Scientists just realised that there are actually 2 different kinds of jackal in Africa. One of them's a wolf. Yay, new wolf. So yeah, what a cutie, eh? So that, I think this Wikipedia map must have been done a while ago before they've worked that out. But that is a wolf. And then I'm going to sort of skim them. The grey wolves of North America and Canada. There's about 5 different kinds. There's quite a lot about wolves that scientists can't decide on. But when I'm talking about wolves, that's really what we're picturing, isn't it? Is the wolves in Canada, North America, the timber wolves, etc. Huskies, I asked you in the introduction, are they wolves? They're not a wolf. I know, they look exactly like a wolf, but they're not. They are related to wolves, but all dogs are related to wolves. So they're no more related to wolves than like a poodle. I know, weird. Yeah. And here's the red wolf. So yeah, there's only one kind of red wolf, which lives in the southeast of America, on this nubby bit. Yeah, it's a tricky one, the red wolf. It's incredibly endangered, but it's taken us ages to sort of work out what it is. So some people think that it's like a coyote crossed with a wolf, and some people actually think it's a kind of grey wolf. And it's sort of weirdly, like for these political reasons, because we hadn't been able to work out what it was, it sort of hasn't been listed as endangered for a long time, but it is actually incredibly endangered. Yeah, very rare, the red wolf. Right, so that's the end of our types of wolf chat. So another, because you can't talk about wolves without talking about a full moon, can we? And werewolves and howling at the full moon. So I looked into it. They don't howl at the moon. It's what we call, I suppose, confirmation bias. They come out mainly at night when we can see the moon most clearly, and sound travels best at night. But they're not actually howling at the moon. Presumably they've got better things to do. But I looked at werewolves, and obviously there's the total, presumably like myths of werewolves that the Vikings were telling, or the Greeks or whatever. But actually, weirdly, in the 1600s, there's quite a lot of stories about people in France being werewolves. It's quite sad, really. Like, they were mass murderers or suffering with like mental health problems, but quite a lot of people claim to be werewolves in France in the 1600s. Like, maybe they had a special belt that turned them into a wolf, and they got burned at the stake because they and everyone else agreed, like, yeah, you must be a werewolf then. But the weird thing that I found out is that human beings are a bit affected by a full moon. I would have said that was nonsense, but they've looked at the science, and when the moon is full, humans get a little bit less sleep, and we don't know why that is. And they also studied people who suffer from like manic depression, and although people didn't get like depressed with every full moon, there was a bit of a correlation between how people were feeling and when the moon was full, and they don't know whether, it just sounds like total nonsense, but some people are saying it's just because of the light, so stops you sleeping, you know, and obviously lack of sleep affects your mood. Some people saying, well, the moon affects like the Earth's magnetic field, and we have electromagnetic activity in our brain. Some people saying, well, the moon moves the tides, so it's also affecting the water moving in and out of ourselves. I don't know, but I can't tell you that full moons do not affect humans. Science will not tell you that. It's pretty interesting. Right, I think I've said everything I need to say about wolves. Yeah, they hunt in big packs. They're just great at working in a team, aren't they? They chase their prey. They take it in turns to chase their prey down. Yeah, I think we should do a story time about wolves in Britain. Woo, no, but woo, but no, but though. Yeah. Oops. breaking my homemade Lego phone holder. Honestly, it's almost as if I should just buy one, isn't it? Okay, story time. Conservation. It's a good thing, right? Conserving plants, animals, making sure they stay where they are and don't die. Well, some people say that conserving things isn't going far enough. They want to do something called rewilding, getting nature back on its feet so it can take care of itself, letting animals and plants shape the places we live and not the other way around. So some bits of rewilding instantly sound like good ideas. Like bringing back trees that used to grow in Britain and letting rivers flow instead of damming them. Damn you, rivers. Other ideas about rewilding are slightly more surprising. So 1,000 years ago, beavers would clear space in British forests and create wetlands. Wild boar would help to break up the hard earth with their movements, and reindeer and wild horses were eaten by bears and wolves, nom 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 nom, and wild cats. So nature really was taking its course. So the Rewilding charity, because most of these animals that I've just mentioned were hunted by humans throughout the ages until there were none of them left, the Rewilding charity want to bring back some of these missing species. In some cases this has happened and most people agree that it's fine. So there's now about 1,000 beavers living in the British countryside. Perfectly happily. Yeah, most people are fine with this. There's also quite a lot of wild boar. That kind of happened by accident because some people released them illegally or some of them escaped. Now, this is sort of possibly a bit alarming to some people because wild boar can run at 30 miles per hour. They've got tusks and they get dead angry if you surprise them, especially if they've got babies. But if you show that you're not a threat by, say, running away, they're actually fairly unlikely to hurt you. Now, the animal causing the debate is the wolf. So humans killed all the wolves in the UK on purpose in the 1700s because they were seen as very dangerous. The Rewilding charity says that this is a myth. The idea that wolves are very dangerous is misguided and the risks aren't very large. So the wolves, they say, would help to control the deer which are damaging trees. At the moment, humans kill a lot of deer every year just to control their populations. But critics say that saying wolves are not dangerous is in itself a myth that the Rewilding charity are perpetuating. To get the facts, I read a paper by someone called John Bone at the University of Aberdeen. You're welcome. It turns out that in India, where the local people are quite poor, the wolves don't have a lot of food, and people don't have a lot of ways of defending themselves. Wolf attacks are not uncommon, and they particularly happen to children. In Russia, the government took away the weapons that the people in the countryside used to have, and apparently, because people couldn't defend themselves, wolf attacks massively increased, although the Russian government are said to have covered this up. What a shocker. So John Bone concludes in his paper that wolves, they can be extremely dangerous or they can be absolutely fine depending on the circumstances. He says if they've got plenty of food and they've learned to fear humans that are armed, and they don't come looking for food where humans are, and in fact they stay away from humans altogether, then it's totally fine. The worry is, of course, that one of these things could change. So in Germany, in 1990, they banned hunting on wolves, and now a wolf pack is living 15 miles south of Berlin, the capital city of Germany. And people seem generally totally fine with it. More on this later. Here are some German people just going about their absolutely normal everyday lives. Not a problem. Whereas in France, wolves have attacked farm animals to the point where hunting wolves is now legal again. And some people obviously do find the idea of living near wolves very scary. So in Finland, rural people have had special wolf taxis put on so that school children don't have to wait at remote bus stops, because pet dogs in the countryside in Finland have been killed by wolves in broad daylight. The risk is incredibly low, but just a question for you to answer yourself. Is reality important in that situation? If something makes people afraid, should it happen? One of the problems with rewilding in Britain, its critics say, is that it ends up treating Scotland like this kind of totally wild, idyllic, empty, enchanting wilderness, which of course it's not. There are people living in the Highlands of Scotland. And this study in Finland said that the fear of wolves is highest among people who live in the countryside where wolves have been introduced. And the things they're most worried about are their children, farm animals, whether it would stop people doing outdoor activities. So the Rewilding charity say that bringing wolves back into the area would bring lots of money into the Highlands of Scotland from tourism. But Bone also points out that it could massively put people off who were just wanting a little quiet hike through the countryside. It's kind of like flying, he says. So the risk of something going wrong is low, but if just one thing goes wrong on one occasion, it can make people extremely scared of it. At the moment, there are no serious plans to reintroduce wolves in the wild in Scotland. But it might be a good idea to just think about some of the arguments you've heard today and decide on which side of the fence you stand. The end. Swooping fade out of story time there. Right, you lot. That's the end of the wolf show. Thank you so much for coming. We've done a lot of cute animals in these shows. I think wolves might be my new all-time favourite animal. Yeah, I think I now have an answer to the question, what's your favourite animal? So thank you for that. Right, that is the end of the wolf show. It's the end. You should switch off. I want to talk a little bit about hunting of wolves, but some people might find that upsetting. So by all means, switch off. I'll show you my magazine because it's just arrived and I'm super excited about it. If you happen to be new to Theatre of Science and you would like to support me, I do a home ed lesson every week and I also do a show every week for other children to come if they happen to be at school. Then you can go to my Ko-fi site. There's a link to it. I think if you go to the About section on YouTube, then it'll take you to this website called Ko-fi, where you can support me with 5 or 6, or 10 if you want, pounds a month, and I'll send you Theatre of Science magazine to say thank you so much for making this my job. It's the best job ever. So Theatre of Science magazine comes out about every 2 months. This is the latest issue on rainforests. So I'll send you this now if you sign up. There's a little bug activity. You can mount your own bug like scientists do. There's a beautiful comic about an insect expert and how she went off to stay with some so-called cannibal tribes. There's a choose your own adventure. Will you die in the rainforest? You might do. My husband's a graphic designer. He's ever so useful. So yeah, very, very proud of Theatre of Science magazine. You've got a list of some of the rainforests in Britain. Yeah, I know. And the new one that's about to come out that all my supporters are about to get is on mould. But if you sign up now, I'll send you rainforests and then I'll probably post mould out this weekend or the beginning of next week. And that's got, I'll send you a biodegradable plastic bag so you can grow some mould. And it's got a comic in it about the only British woman to have a Nobel Prize for Science. Yeah, right? And another Choose Your Own Adventure because I'm a bit obsessed with them. Okay, thank you for coming. So yeah, but briefly to talk about hunting. So I just find it very interesting. So I used to think that I wasn't interested in politics. And doing these shows, I've learned that everything is politics. So Russia, Finland, no barrier between those countries. Not a massive barbed wire fence, it's just land. Planet Earth doesn't know we keep like chopping it up and naming bits, okay? It's just land. But if a wolf is on the bit of Russia land, the land that we call Russia, then it is perfectly legal for someone to hunt and kill a wolf. In fact, they get rewarded. People get money for killing wolves in Russia because they're seen as a nuisance, right? They kill livestock, which is like people losing money. In Finland, so a wolf could like walk a few steps, and in Finland it would be illegal to kill the wolf unless the Finnish persons could say that it was a problem wolf. So yeah, in Finland there's people living in the countryside who are generally hunters. So I'll tell you the story, right, that I read in The Guardian. I'm not saying that this is true, it's obviously an interview with a person, but to give you an idea. Well, they interviewed 2 people. There was an interview with a family and they interviewed the woman saying that they'd had their dog killed by a wolf in their garden, and now she didn't allow the children into the garden unless she was with them, and she didn't allow them out into the garden at night at all, which is obviously super stressful, isn't it? Like, I don't know, in England it's like, well, the garden is the place where the kids can go and play and I can relax. The idea of not being able to go outside without an adult is kind of amazing. And this chap said that he lived in a little house in the Finnish countryside, he had a dog, and he saw wolves running past his house. And he says, wolves don't run for no reason. Like, I knew that they were looking for food, so they kind of they run the edge of their territory, right, looking for food. So they'd done one circle, and he said, I knew that the wolves knew that I had a pet dog, but the pet dog was inside. I said that you might find this a bit upsetting. I'm not going to go into detail, but I think it was about a month later the wolves had completed their enormous circuit of their territory and they were back at the farmer's house again, but his dog happened to be outside. And he says in his interview that he saw his dog wander into the forest and that there was no sound and the dog just disappeared. And he thinks that the wolves were like trying to get the dog to come and play with them, and then they killed it. No scientific evidence to say that that is true, but he would then say, right, I've sort of write to the government and say I've got a problem wolf and we need to go out and hunt it, and then they would go out and hunt it. The Finnish government actually do a wolf cull every year. A cull is like where you kill a proportion of animals, you know, for various reasons. Like I say, we kill deer in this country to control the deer population so they don't eat all the trees. The Finnish government do a wolf cull. It's very, very few wolves that they kill, because there's only 200 wolves in Finland. But the reason that they say they do it is because if they don't do it, there's loads of illegal hunting. Because if people think, oh, the government aren't helping us, we'll just have to go out and kill the wolves ourselves, then it's worse. But so if the Finnish government say it's okay, we're on it, we'll cull them, there's less illegal hunting. But in America, a study found out that where the government cull wolves, it makes local people think, oh, okay, so obviously like wolf lives aren't that valuable, like maybe they're not endangered after all, and it increases hunting. It's so complicated, right? Say what you like about politicians, dead tough job in it. I don't know what the answer is. But anyway, the overall point of the story, turns out Germany are winning. Germany are just great at this. So there's wolves living like just outside the capital city, and Germany have just got a centre they've set up. So you can call them if you have any questions, and they are teaching people about how to deal with wolves. And if you've got a problem wolf, they'll like track it with a satellite and they'll monitor it and they'll do all these kinds of things and only kill it as an absolute last resort. So yeah, loads of different places in the world dealing with wolves in totally different ways. But as I say, at the moment, Britain, don't get excited about wolves. It's not likely to happen in the future, but at least now if you see it in the news, you'll have some opinions, hopefully. Okay, that is the end of my little political chat about wolf hunting. We've got super niche, haven't we, in Theory of Science? I will see you next week, where this show is going to be back at its usual time of 9:30 on a Wednesday. It's going to be on Antarctica. Oh, if you're watching this, then what you need to do, I'm going to check my Facebook comments, because hopefully some of you that are watching this have gone on my Facebook page and left me a comment. But what you need to do right now, if you want to come to the Antarctica version of these shows with Logo Storytime, is you need to get an empty drinks can and you need to fill it with water, like 2/3 full of water, half full, and salt, and stir it and put it in the freezer. I haven't done that yet. I have to do that as soon as I finish the show. Empty food can, water, salt, stir, freezer. We're going to do a making frost activity, which we did do before quite early on last year. It's really good, but the water has to be totally frozen. Just do it now. Do it right now. Do it while I'm waiting for Facebook to load up. Here we go. You better have left me some comments now. I did just do a homework lesson, so I appreciate that a lot of you will have had quite a lot of Theory of Science screen time. Oh, a comment. Oh yeah, who's this? Oh, hello, Rue. Hi. No way, this is your first live. Oh my goodness, I've just realised I should not have done all that upsetting stuff about hunting before I did the shout outs. I'm really sorry. Oh no. You have to listen to me talking about dogs being killed in order to get a shout out. I'm sorry. Hello, Rue. And hello, Heidi's son. Oh, brilliant. Heidi's son, if you're still here and you're not like crying in a corner. Hello. Thank you so much for coming. Oh, and hello. Suki and Arzu and Eunice. Hiya guys. God, you've got a lot of stamina. Right, well I will let you go because you've had 2 theatre of science hours already then today. Thank you so much, you lot, for coming. I will see you next week. Go put a can in the fridge and freezer. I'm going to do the same thing. Bye!